Hi guys, TD4LC back with another video for Jackson Kruger Sports. If you enjoy the video, make sure to head over to my channel, drop me a subscribe. Also make sure to subscribe to Jackson Kruger Sports. Let's get into the video. So for me, I undoubtedly think that Calvin Ridley is a top 5, top 7 route runner in the NFL. A lot of people just think about Julio Jones and that's really easy to do, but Calvin Ridley is a stud. He had the 3rd most receiving yards per game last season. The questions sort of leading into the season were, if Julio doesn't play, how is he going to do? Because we know that, Jones faces so many double teams against the best DBs from the opposition most of the time. But you saw last season there were stretches that Julio Jones was injured. Calvin Ridley stepped up as wide receiver 1 and he really did perform. Now the first aspect I want to speak to you about is his speed and his tempo during the routes. So this first play, obviously Dirk Cutter was the offensive coordinator last year. I'm going to be using Air Coryell terms because that was his principal playbook, but with some West Coast protection. This first call was dot right PHB 69. Nice. So all it means is at the top of the screen, he's just going to run a deep curl. The running back's going to check to the flat. The H-back is going to block. And then Ridley's simply going to take off at the bottom of the screen. And the Bears are actually playing a cover 2 here, but I'm not quite sure what that safety's doing. He's really shallow, and he doesn't see Ridley sort of get up to top speed until it's too late. And Ridley has really good pace. He ran an official 4.43 at the combine, but he does really show up on film that he's got some good top end speed. And you can see here, he beats the cornerback off the line of scrimmage with a really nice release. Again, that's a common theme you'll see when you're watching the film here. He gets really nice separation early on in the route and then continues it throughout the whole of the route. And here you can see the safety doesn't flip his hips and run with him until he's almost level with him. And from there, Calvin Ridley is always going to win that route. That 9 go route is perfect right up the seam, and it's a massive completion. So a second ago, we looked at Ridley's top end speed and how he creates such great separation. This time I just sort of want to look at how he changed the tempo during the route. Last time he sort of got up to top speed really quickly and stayed there. This time he's going to change the tempo just to try and manipulate this corner. So this time the play is coming from far right, and then the play is going to be 6 read, 7 Y sift. So you've got that 6 on the backside. He can see that safety is backing off, so he's going to dig. You've got the 7 route, which is the main route here, Ridley, and then the Y sift is going to block on the backside of the play. But Ridley's really nice here. He runs the first 6 or 7 yards and then sort of takes a little hitch. He doesn't turn around at all, but he sort of slows his feet just to sort of see more than anything what zone the cornerback is in. And then he speeds up really nicely towards the inside of the field, and obviously he's got really nice separation between him and number 23. So he knows that cornerback is going to have to really accelerate to get close to him. So as soon as he can see number 23 sort of coming up to top speed in the middle of the field, that's when he breaks really nicely to the outside, and it's a massive completion down the field. A great game for the Falcons. So we've sort of just talked about the tempo and the speed of his route running during the play, and this is sort of similar, but we're looking more towards the break aspect of his route running now, how he comes in and out of his break. And well, this is a perfect example. I'm not going to bore you anymore with the play calls. If that's something that you are interested in, let me know in the comments if you want to sort of see that for every play. But let's just carry on with the main focus of the video. So here you're going to see Ridley is going to run this route, and here he's going to sort of take a little hitch a bit earlier in the route, sort of 3 or 4 yards in. And then again, he speeds up to top speed, and he knows that they're playing a cover 3 zone. So when he gets up to top speed and he can see the cornerback flip his hips, he knows that he's got one-on-one coverage with this corner in an outside 3rd zone. So then when he's got the corner exactly where he wants him, the corner is basically facing his own end zone at this point because he's sprinting so hard to make sure that he stays level with Ridley. What really impresses me is the ability to pump his arms and sink really low into the break. It just means that he can come out of it really quickly, better than the DB, and get into a great position to make the catch. He's not the most physical receiver. There are much bigger DBs than him sometimes, but because he gets so low, he positions himself and gets in front of them to make a play on the ball. There's no way on this play that the DB can flip his hips and catch up to Ridley after the break. It's a lovely play, great deep out, and it's a massive completion again. Now, yet again, this is a quality example of his route running. This is a 7 route, so he's going to break inside almost like a deep cross from the outside. It's a really heavy personnel set, and then he's going to break really hard, get back to the outside, hopefully do it quicker than the corner. But, it's really the small things that you pick up on film. In this play, you see, as he's sort of running the in section of the 7 route, he just has a last glance towards the cornerback, and my guess at what he'd be doing here is reading the cornerback, and if he's really stacked, i.e. he's really far to the outside playing that outside 3rd zone, then he would almost carry on with that deep cross up the seam and try and draw the free safety into him in the middle of the field as well, which would open up that tight end route right over the middle for Matt Ryan. But he can see that the cornerback is fully committed to him. He's sprinting inside to cover Ridley. So then he just carries on with the 7 route, which I imagine is the original call. He plants his right foot, and again, look how low he is when he comes out of that break. He's so low to the ground, he can really explode out of it and get good pace. And I don't think the cornerback actually does a bad job of playing him here. He actually stays fairly tight, but Ridley's route running is just so elite. He manages to create just enough separation, and he does really well to actually turn it into a touchdown after he's got the catch. And then another aspect of his game which I was sort of really impressed with when I watched it on film was his ability to trap the ball and how he really never takes his eyes off it. He is really fixated on that ball the whole time, never takes his eyes off it, and the way that he tracks the ball, especially through DB's arms and stuff when it's a contested catch, is especially impressive. So this is the first example. This is against the Saints, and he's against Marshall and Lattimore, who's obviously been a really good corner for them. And Lattimore actually has really nice leverage. All that Ridley's going to do here is run a simple fade up the sideline. He has a nice little stutter step at the top of the route just to try and create a little bit of separation and give him a bit of space on the outside. But Lattimore tracks him really well. And you see here, Matt Ryan's trying to throw this back shoulder fade, but he leaves it just ever so slightly infield. And because Lattimore's playing a nice stack technique on this play, it's a really hard catch to make. And Lattimore actually does well again to get his hands up for the ball and in front of Ridley's face. But Ridley has a really nice jump off the ground, gets up with his hands, and he tracks it the whole way. And he pulls it down for a really nice sideline grab. And you know, what could have been an interception because it was left just ever so slightly infield turned out to be a massive completion downfield because of how well he tracked the ball through the DB. I've seen so many occasions there where the DB has great leverage and, you know, they sort of just let them get inside and let them do whatever they want to them during the route and push them around. But Ridley, you know, fights throughout the whole route here and then gets up and makes a great play. Now this was one of my favourite plays when I'm referencing how well he tracks the ball. So this is just a simple smash fade concept. This outside receiver is going to run the hitch and then Ridley's going to run that inside fade. And he catches this ball over the wrong shoulder. You know, you want to be throwing these fades and catching it as close to the sideline as you can. And in this case, it would be over his left shoulder. But, you know, he creates enough separation to be able to catch it over his right one. When you're running and you have to keep your eyes on the ball behind you the whole way, it's a really hard catch. But again, you see him off the line of scrimmage, he gets a really nice inside release and then just, you know, pushes off from that DB just enough that the refs aren't going to blow it, but gives himself 1 yard of separation or so. And then he makes that nice last cut towards the sideline and watches the ball the whole way for another massive completion. And you see, the Falcons were massively backed up in the end zone there, and that nice inside fade to Ridley, he made it look easy in the end, but that's a really hard skill to catch that ball over your inside shoulder in man coverage. And it just gave the Falcons some really nice breathing space, got the ball out to the 25 or so. Okay, so now the last point that I wanted to sort of bring up about Calvin Ridley's route running and why he's so elite is just the small things in terms of how he manipulates the DBs with his hips and his shoulders. So this play, again, you're going to see another corner out, another massive completion for Calvin Ridley. I mean, how many times have we heard that this season in itself? But this play, the Buccaneers are playing a cover 6 defense, so what it means is they're playing quarters towards the top of the field, and to the bottom here, you've got the free safety in a deep half. So he's on an island here. Ridley runs past that cornerback and then he's one-on-one with that free safety. And the way he sails to the inside is absolutely perfect. He's almost facing, you know, like 30 degrees inwards, so he's not facing towards the end zone. He's sort of facing slightly more towards the pylon, if anything, on the other side of the field. So that free safety knows that he's one-on-one over the top. He cannot afford to let Ridley go by him or get inside leverage. And it's a really nice concept because you've got that dig off the backside, which means this middle quarters guy towards the top of the field is occupied with that dig. He wants to jump that route. And if Ridley's running a massive post in here, then, you know, that's easy win. That's an easy game for the Falcons. So this free safety knows his job really well, gets inside to make sure that Ridley can't run that post over the top of their cover 6 defense. But he does really well here because, you know, number 23 is running with him the whole time. He waits. And then as soon as he can see number 23 turn his hips, he's almost facing his own end zone, number 23. As soon as he sees those hips turn and face inside and give up that outside leverage that he initially had, bam, he breaks to the outside on that corner route, and it's a perfectly thrown ball by Matt Ryan in between the cornerback and the free safety. So now this play, all you're going to see is Calvin Ridley run the choice route. So the Chargers are in cover 3 here. To the top of the screen, they're just going to run a little curl, which means that this top side of the field is completely open behind that cornerback. So on the choice route, Ridley's going to choose an inside break. But instead of breaking early and giving the safety tons of time to adjust and follow him the whole route, what he does is he sort of comes towards the inside, towards the start of the route, and then he flips his hips again, so he's completely perpendicular with the end zone. He's completely running in line with the end zone. Everything is going towards the posts. And it's really hard for the DB to keep up with him because he's trying to run full speed whilst looking over his right shoulder at Calvin Ridley. And then when Calvin Ridley thinks that the DB's going to flip his hips towards the left-hand side, you can see he's waiting. And as soon as he sees the slightest bit of movement from the DB to turn his hips towards his left-hand side, he breaks inside and he's created enough separation for a great pass from Russell Gage. And may I add, what a pass from a wide receiver. That is like Mohamed Sanu sort of passing level from a wide receiver. I don't know what it is with Falcons wide receiver 2s and passing, but that was a great wildcat formation, great route from Ridley, and another great touchdown for him. So in conclusion, I've been really impressed with watching Calvin Ridley over the course of this film study. As a Falcons fan, you may not know that, but yes, I am a Falcons fan. I watched him during the course of the season, and again, I was really impressed watching the games. He is without doubt one of the best route runners in the league, and for him to put up those numbers is really outstanding, and I can only see Calvin Ridley growing into a much more prosperous wide receiver in the league. As I've already mentioned, his run after catch ability, the way he tracks the ball, the way he comes out of breaks, the way he sells his routes, it's sort of in sync with everything that you see from Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Julio, and all of your pastime greats like Calvin Johnson, all sorts of those guys. It's everything that they did really well, and it's the small details that sort of win you those matchups one-on-one, and Calvin Ridley absolutely has the X Factor ability. So thanks to making it to this stage of the video. If you have enjoyed, please like, subscribe, drop a comment, let me know what you thought. Like I said, I love talking to you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.